Many people believe they know the story of the RMS Titanic. The very name conjures images of an unsinkable ship. It brings to mind a dramatic, swift end in the icy North Atlantic. A common myth is that the ship was doomed by one single, arrogant mistake. This idea of hubris meeting its downfall is a powerful narrative. It makes for a compelling tale of human pride in nature's power. The story has been told and retold in books and films for over a century. Each telling has added new layers, often blurring the lines between what truly happened and what makes for a better story. The truth is often quieter and far more complex than the legend. The real question is not about one catastrophic error. Instead, we should ask what series of events and decisions led to the disaster. The sinking of the Titanic was not the result of a single flaw. It was a chain reaction. Dozens of small, seemingly minor factors combined on one specific night. The RMS Titanic was a product of intense competition and immense pride. It was built in Belfast, Ireland, by the shipbuilders Harland and Wolff. Construction began on March 31, 1909. The ship was one of 3 Olympic-class liners designed for the White Star Line. These ships were created to be the largest and most luxurious vessels afloat. The Titanic was enormous for its time. It measured nearly 900 feet in length. It was designed to offer unparalleled comfort and elegance, especially for its first-class passengers. Its grandeur was a symbol of industrial progress and ambition. The famous term unsinkable was used to describe the Titanic. This was not an official designation from the White Star Line. It was a label that grew out of articles published in technical journals like The Shipbuilder. The press and the public seized upon this idea. The ship's design did include advanced safety features for the era. The most notable of these was its system of watertight compartments. The Titanic set sail on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England on April 10, 1912. It made stops in Cherbourg, France Queenstown, Ireland to pick up more passengers. Then, it headed west across the Atlantic toward New York City. For the first few days, the voyage was smooth and uneventful. The weather was good, the ship made excellent time. Passengers enjoyed the luxurious amenities. The crew settled into their routines. Everything pointed toward a successful and speedy crossing. On the night of Sunday, April 14, 1912, conditions in the North Atlantic were unusual. The sea was exceptionally calm. Survivors said a sheet of glass. There was no moon, the sky was clear and filled with stars. The lack of wind and waves was actually dangerous. Normally waves would break at an iceberg's base, making white foam. That foam warned lookouts from a distance. On that calm night, the iceberg was hard to spot against dark water. Throughout the day, Titanic's wireless operators received multiple ice warnings. Those messages reported large icebergs, extensive ice fields in Titanic's path. Not all warnings reached the bridge. Senior wireless operator Jack Phillips worked for Marconi, not White Star. After the collision, it took time for the senior officers to grasp how severe the damage was. Captain Edward Smith Thomas Andrews conducted a rapid inspection. Andrews quickly calculated the iceberg had breached at least 5 compartments, and likely 6. He told the captain the ship was doomed. He predicted it would sink in approximately 2 hours. Around midnight, Captain Smith ordered the lifeboats uncovered and passengers mustered on deck. Wireless operators began sending distress signals. A pervasive myth says Titanic lacked lifeboats because of cost-cutting. In reality, the ship carried 20 lifeboats. That was more than the law required by the British Board of Trade at the time. The laws were outdated. Many popular beliefs about the Titanic come from films and novels, not historical records. One of the most enduring myths concerns the actions of the ship's owner, J. Bruce Ismay. He is often portrayed as a villain who pressured Captain Smith to maintain high speed, contributing to the disaster. He is also criticized for taking a place in a lifeboat. While Ismay did survive, there is no evidence that he ordered the captain to go faster. Inquiries after the sinking found that Captain Smith was in full command. Ismay boarded one of the last lifeboats to leave the starboard side, collapsible sea, only after there were no more women and children nearby. Another dramatic tale involves the third-class passengers. Many stories and films depict them as being deliberately locked below decks to die. The reality is more nuanced and tragic. Third-class passengers were located in the least accessible parts of the ship. The path to the boat deck was a confusing maze of corridors and staircases. While some gates were indeed locked due to immigration laws of the time, this was not done with malicious intent to trap them. The primary issue was a lack of guidance. There were not enough crew members available to direct the hundreds of third-class passengers to safety. The Titanic's distress calls were heard by several ships, but the closest to respond was the RMS Carpathia. Captained by Arthur Rostron, the Carpathia was 58 nautical miles away. Upon receiving the signal, Captain Rostron immediately turned his ship around and ordered it to steam at maximum speed through the dangerous ice field. The Carpathia arrived at the scene at approximately 4 a.m., about an hour and a half after the Titanic had fully submerged. Its crew worked for over 4 hours to rescue the 705 survivors from the lifeboats. They were the lucky ones who had found a place in a boat. The news of the disaster sent shockwaves around the world. The public was stunned that such a modern and supposedly safe ship could sink with such a massive loss of life. Of the 2,224 people on board, more than 1,500 perished. In the immediate aftermath, public outcry demanded answers and accountability. Both the United States and Great Britain launched official inquiries into the sinking. The story of the Titanic endures because it speaks to timeless themes of ambition, class human fallibility. Myths grew around the disaster because people sought simple explanations for an overwhelming tragedy. It is easier to blame a single villain or a single act of arrogance than to accept a complex web of failures. The legend of an unsinkable ship being punished for its hubris is a powerful moral tale, but these myths, while compelling, obscure the more valuable lessons that the true story offers. They distract from the small, cumulative errors that truly led to the sinking. The reality is that no single person or event was solely responsible. The disaster was caused by a convergence of factors. The ship was traveling at a high speed through a known ice field, a common practice at the time. The lookouts lacked binoculars. The sea was unusually calm, making the iceberg harder to see. Wireless warnings were not properly prioritized. The lifeboat regulations were tragically out of date. The evacuation was disorganized due to a lack of training and planning. Each of these was a small failure. Together, they formed a fatal chain of events. The most important truth of the Titanic is that monumental disasters are rarely caused by a single, great flaw. They are born from an accumulation of smaller, overlooked risks. The ship was not truly unsinkable. It was a state-of-the-art vessel operating within a flawed system of safety regulations. The new laws regarding lifeboats, radio watches, and ice patrols were a direct response to these identified failures, creating a lasting legacy of improved safety for all future sea travel. Myths matter, because they show us what we fear and what we value as a society. But the facts are what provide the true guide for the future. The story of the Titanic is not about divine judgment or a single villain. It is a sober reminder that technology and progress must always be balanced with caution, preparedness, and a profound respect for the power of nature. This is the clear idea to remember.